Hey everyone, it's September 3rd, 2020. I have my friend here, Ariel from the Urbanists.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yep, we're in Astoria, Queens, my neighborhood today. And we're going to do a little bit of a historical walk through the neighborhood, give you some facts and whatnot. But we'll get this walk started.
Let's
right
go.
now, we're in Athens Square Park, home of a lot of Greek sculptures and structures like this one over here.
We got our man Socrates. Where was he featured? He was featured in a very classic movie from the 1980s.
Yep, the father of philosophy.
Father of Philosophy. So I know him as the guy in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. So like, the interesting thing is a lot of these Greek statues indicate the history of this neighborhood, because in the 1960s, Greece went through very bad financial troubles, and a lot of Greek people started moving here to Astoria, Queens. At some point, there was more than 22,000 people here from Greece. That was more Greek people than some cities even within Greece. It was the largest Greek population outside the country.
Yeah, pretty incredible.
Our man, Socrates. And here we have some Greek columns.
Yep.
Some Ionic columns. You'll see these, they inspired New York Beaux Arts architecture, which you see all around Manhattan, from the New York Public Library, which you've shown many
Central
times.
Terminal.
Yep, yep.
And one little fun fact is, this corner over here is not even with the...
Oh no, it's not.
It's been that way ever since I grew up here.
It collapsed. These are the ruins of Astoria.
That's it.
Let's see what's down here. It's an interesting flower image.
Yeah. Maybe it's supposed to be a sun compass or something.
It is, yeah. And of course we have the soothing sounds of the sirens of New York.
Oh yeah. Well, something is going on.
It is,
here.
yeah. We're surrounded by... Action Kid, you brought the fire.
Yeah, that's it.
Here's Aristotle.
Aristotle. Nice handsome bust of Aristotle. Yeah, might be something on this block.
Something happened, yeah.
You got the fire truck here and ambulance down there. Yeah. But this is 30th Avenue, Queens.
We are, yeah, which is one of the main thoroughfares of Astoria. The other one being Broadway, and also Steinway Street, which Astoria is very interesting because at some point Astoria was the most diverse neighborhood in the entire world, with more than 120 nationalities just represented here. There's a few other neighborhoods in Queens now that are more diverse, such as Jackson Heights. However, Astoria still retains that unique blend of different cultures. So at any given corner, you will see from Egyptian, which you probably have had some kebab or shawarma before here.
Hookah.
Hookah.
There's a little
Love it.
section of Steinway Street. It's called Little Egypt.
Little Egypt, yeah. Which we're only a few blocks away. And then now we're heading to, what area would you consider this?
This is just in between Old Astoria and the main area of Astoria.
And this is the thing. A lot of people have different interpretations of what each micro neighborhood within Astoria is.
Yeah.
So when I grew up on Steinway Street, me and my friends, who were mostly all from Jackson Heights, called it Steinway. Even though what would you call Steinway?
Oh, we just call it like Upper Astoria or Steinway Street.
That would be all the way in the top of Steinway, right? Yeah. And then we would call this area Astoria. However, on the post office, it's Long Island City.
Yeah.
What's up with that? Well, that ties into the history of the place. Because in 1870, we're walking in what used to be not New York, not the city of Brooklyn, but Long Island City. Oh yeah, it was its own city. And Astoria was a part of it, along with Ravenswood, Hunters Point.
Hunters Point, parts of Sunnyside too.
Parts of Sunnyside, yep.
Yeah.
So It's interesting to think that this was its own city. It kind of does feel like its own city still.
I know. Even when I get mail addressed to me, sometimes I have it as Long Island City,
Exactly.
not Astoria, because technically it was part of Long Island City prior to the 1898 consolidation.
So, according to the post office, below Broadway, I think it's what's considered to be Long Island City. Above it's
Yeah.
Astoria, quote unquote.
According to the zip codes.
Yeah, exactly. But even the locals sometimes don't agree exact border definitions.
Yeah. Like there's even other sections of Astoria, like Old Astoria, the Ditmar Steinway neighborhood of Astoria. There's the Dutch Kills, which is technically Long Island City, but
Has the most epic name.
yeah. The Kills referring to the river that used to go through there. Well, not a river. I think it's
So Kills is like a body of water.
a body of water.
But the thing is, the Dutch had a lot of names for different bodies of water. Sometimes even more than the English did. So one of the interesting things as we were walking around through these streets is speaking with the Greek population here, the reason that they chose this neighborhood, one of the reasons, was to them it felt more European than living in amongst the skyscrapers in Manhattan or the tenement buildings of the Lower East Side. To them, this felt a little bit more like Greece. So a lot of single-family housing, smaller multi-family housing.
Let's go up this way.
All right, let's do it.
The street grid is kind of like weird here. To continue going
It is.
north, you gotta like make a left and then continue going up again. But that's also from the history of this neighborhood because they developed these streets like that.
How so?
Oh, they just had like these families here make up certain blocks, and that was their street, and they were named after them. Like, I was even looking at an old map of Astoria. There's streets like Remsen Street and Academy Street because there was an academy there. School. Yeah.
And they all each had their own separate grids,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. And that's the thing, when you go to these area of Queens, usually the grid is not uniform across the entire borough. Brooklyn tends to be a little bit more uniform. Manhattan, of course, is pretty much uniform above Houston, with a few exceptions. But here, Queens, it has all its little independent grids. And the thing is, there used to be different towns. So Long Island City was its own city, but you had Newtown.
Yeah, that was Newtown Avenue back there.
Precisely.
I walked off.
You had parts of Sunnyside, which was its own town before as well. Jackson Heights, which became a thriving middle-class neighborhood back in the 1850s, 1860s. So all different little grid systems. Even here in Astoria, we have different grids, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But look, like right there, we're reaching a dead end.
Yeah, that's it. This is Astoria Boulevard.
Oh.
Originally it was called Flushing Avenue because it went all the way to Flushing.
Is it because there's a lot of flushing to do? So, speaking,
That's fun.
well, it's also a reference to a Simpsons episode
Oh.
where someone says to Homer, "Oh, let's go to Flushing Meadow Park," and he has a dream that Flushing Meadow Park is filled with toilets. He starts dancing amongst all the toilets. But Flushing comes from the Dutch town named, forgive my Dutch, but or along the lines of Wisseling, and it does not stand for flushing the toilet. Even though flushing might have not been invented here, but what was invented here in Astoria was the Xerox machine. The guy who lived here was the inventor of Xerox. Boom. The more you know.
That's it.
That's it. That's all to the story. Here's one of my favorite falafel places.
Oh yeah, BC Grill, they're good.
These guys are amazing. And then they stuff their pitas with a bunch of fries as well.
I was gonna suggest we walk over here, but it
Let's
looks
do it.
busy here. We can do it on the next block.
All right.
Yeah, Astoria Boulevard right now is a lot of construction.
But New York City is perpetually under
That's
construction.
it. A lot of chaos because this is a main street too.
Actually, not so familiar with this area because when I come to Astoria, I usually hang out around Steinway, which has a lot of the coffee shops and hookah bars. How about you when you come here? Where do you usually hang out in?
I usually hang out around the Triboro Boulevard area and also over here too, 30th Avenue. I rarely go to Broadway now.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Originally, Broadway was kind of like the hot spot of Astoria between 30th Avenue, Broadway and Triboro Boulevard, but it's kind of shifted all the way to 30th Avenue now.
It has.
Not as much anymore.
Wow, look at all the construction.
Road repair.
Old light post.
Ooh.
Still see some of these around.
Very sturdy.
Yeah. I assume it's original, it looks like it.
Yeah. Can we even cross the street over here? I hope so.
One of the greatest questions ever in New York City. Can we go here?
Can we go? Can we not?
There's construction. Let's try it out.
Oh, we never even brought up the name of Astoria. How is that?
Oh, yeah. All right, tell us.
How did that come about?
The very beginning.
All right, so it was named after a guy who never set foot in Astoria at all. The wealthiest person in the world.
What an asshole. So, who you're referring to is, of course, the Astor family, the great fur traders from the Pacific Northwest. They actually have a town in Oregon called Astoria. And Astoria, this was the name over here given to it by the developer, and he wanted some funding for this neighborhood. Astoria, once he talked to Astor, he decided to give him only $500. The guy was worth $40 million. However, we're gonna later see where Astor lived.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna see it too.
Actually, I thought of another idea. Let's make a left. Oh, what the heck? They didn't cover this up at all. We gotta jump over this.
We gotta jump over it? All right, let's do it.
Let's go here.
It's the New York City version of quicksand.
Yep.
Now,
open street cut.
What was the name before Astoria? Well, for that we have to go to the very first European who was able to navigate one of the most treacherous waters in all of North America, the Hellgate.
Yeah, the Hellgate.
Have you talked about the Hellgate before?
It even sounds hellish.
It does. Yeah. Have you mentioned it before in your videos?
I have.
You have? Okay, cool.
We can repeat it again.
So the Hellgate, we'll get a better sense of it once we reach the waterfront, but there's a lot of whirlpools. There used to be a lot of rocks, very sharp rocks, shallow underwater, so it would cause a lot of ships to just shipwreck. And hundreds of ships have shipwrecked over the centuries since the Dutch were here.
Oh yeah.
Hallett was the very first dude who navigated it. And he stepped foot here, and they named it Hallett's Cove before the name was stolen away from him and called Astoria.
Ooh. All to lure this guy who never set foot in Astoria.
Precisely.
To bring more money into the neighborhood.
Oh no, it's a bit of a catch-22 because if you're a very rich person and they name a town after you, you know, imagine if someone named a part of Brooklyn Action Kidville. It would feel like yes, you should donate, but maybe no, because every other person will want to name Action Kid Town, Action Kid.
That's true.
Action Kid City. Right? Then you're like kind of obligated to pay for all these other places.
But hey, there's Stuyvesant Town. But that was named after he was long gone though.
Yeah, he was already long gone for that. And the Dutch were here, but this was not part of New Amsterdam. This was New Netherlands, outside of the jurisdiction of the city below Chambers Street.
Now this up ahead, this is the old Astoria Square. That triangular building is.
So you got the Flatiron of
yeah,
Astoria.
The Astoria Flatiron building. But I was looking at like old postcards, and there used to be like horses and stuff here and carriages. But this was like intersection of like 5 different streets. 21st Street, which used to be called Van Alst Avenue, Astoria Boulevard, which used to be Flushing Avenue, that went all the way to Flushing, and Newtown Avenue, which goes to, you know, partly to the way to Newtown. I guess that's why they call it Newtown Avenue.
Which went the same route as the modern day Queens Turnpike.
Yeah.
So people used to commute back and forth all the way from here through Newtown to Hempstead, Long Island.
And then there's 27th Avenue, and I don't know what that used to be named before. But yeah, very important place in Astoria before. This is Astoria Square.
Which way? This way?
Yeah, this way.
So
We're gonna head towards the park now.
this highlights the changing tide of how the city was developed, because in the beginning, in the very beginning, not millions of years ago, so when the Europeans came here, they mostly had most of the life and business and commerce was along the waterfront. So all of Queens, Brooklyn, Manhattan's waterfront was covered in docks, slips, piers, etc. Also, a lot of the businesses were close to those docks, slips, and piers. However, manufacturing ended up being scooped out by the 1950s, and also with the dawn of trucks being much easier to drive than massive railroads and ferries, there was no more use for the waterfronts.
Yeah, no more.
So a lot of these areas that used to be zoned industrial, and we're going to see a few of them soon, were left empty and abandoned, and no one really wanted to live right by a waterfront after the 1950s, or actually just during the entire 1900s.
Yeah, in general.
Until recently. Which we're going to see soon, why people are starting to move back to the waterfronts.
Mm-hmm. Now, everything west of 21st Street, that can be considered Old Astoria.
Okay.
There's a few like neighborhood people, most notably like real estate people. They want to name it West Astoria to give it like a hipper, like hyper gentrified like neighborhood name just to inflate the prices. But
West Astoria.
yeah, I don't really
That
like
really
that name.
rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
And the cemetery, let's check it out.
Oh yeah,
We're crossing the
this
street
is
anyway, right?
Our Lady of Mount Carmel Cemetery. It's been here for a long, long time.
Oh, really humble cemetery.
We were actually like 2 blocks away from it before we turned. But that church has been there for a long time, like since the 1900s, early 1900s at least.
Oh, wow.
Maybe even the 1800s.
Which church are you referring to? Where is it?
Our Lady of Mount Carmel at the corner of Newtown Avenue and Crescent Street.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this is one of the main thoroughfares right over here.
Oh yeah.
But for cars, not for people.
For cars.
Yeah. Now, go back to the 1970s, this would be very undesirable places to live. And soon we're going to see, or we might pass by the Nugochi Museum and the Socrates Sculpture Garden. But if we don't, a lot of artists started moving in this area just because they were cheap rents, and technically no one really cared about industrial places that were abandoned. So they moved here and started their own museums and art galleries. Similar to what happened in Williamsburg as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can see some of these old graves here. Some of them are knocked over, unfortunately, or weathered away.
Yeah. And what?
Wow,
This is
1873. These are really old.
1873. So these are Catholic graves? Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, this might indicate who were the first immigrant groups that moved here. They were
Pretty
the
much
Irish.
The Irish.
Yeah.
Yeah, Astoria had a lot of different ways of immigration.
Yeah.
Even the Italians came here.
They did for quite a while, and then we had one of the most famous singers in American history, Tony Bennett himself, is from Astoria.
1887, that grave is 1895, yeah. And this one's knocked over.
Yeah, now there's a large Arab population. Lots of South Americans are now moving in as well. And it's also gentrifying in certain areas, especially closer to a waterfront.
Yeah, closer to the waterfront, especially by the train.
That too, yeah, exactly. Now here, we're approaching probably one of the most controversial works of public infrastructure in the entire city. This is the Triboro Bridge.
Yep, and
also known as the Rfk Bridge, but the entire complex is called Triboro.
Yep. Even that was controversial, the name change.
Yeah, the name change as well. And this was built by the city master planner from the 1930s all the way to the 1960s, Robert Moses. If you are a New Yorker or know your New York history, you're already getting shivers up your spine hearing that name. It's almost like saying Voldemort. And the reason he was so controversial is because he tore down these classic neighborhoods and just completely ravaged them by building these huge systems. Let's ignore that person.
Yeah.
Let's go over here.
Let's ignore. We had everything in this wall.
It happens, yeah. Sometimes you get crazy people.
Here's one of the casualties of the tropical storm, fallen tree.
Oh yeah. So for context, here, Triboro Bridge, right? We have this huge overpass.
Yeah.
There are cities in Italy that can fit 30,000 people in the same space that the Triboro Bridge encompasses in this area.
Crazy.
So imagine an entire village of 30,000 people can fit here.
Actually, let's cross the street.
Yeah, let's cross the street.
So we can go into Astoria Park.
Cool.
Hopefully we can do it safely. All right. Going to Astoria
We are
Park.
totally not jaywalking at all. Not
Totally
at all.
not.
Totally not. You did not see anything. So here we're at Astoria Park.
Yeah, I don't even know how long ago this park was constructed.
So this park predates the Triboro, and it predates a lot of the constructions here. Actually, this park is from the early 1900s, the earliest. And when the Triboro Bridge was constructed, Robert Moses decided to also remodel it. He was also the Parks Commissioner, and he built a very specific thing that's very large. We're gonna see it soon.
Here you can see some of the old Astoria homes here. The fire escapes.
Yeah. Someone has like a rooftop garden up there.
I see that.
Just uncovering.
This whole section of Astoria Park actually was under renovation for well over a year. This track and field section.
Yeah, I can imagine. And that goes into why a lot of the waterfront areas are changing. A lot of people want better parks.
And over here you have the best view of the Triboro Bridge.
Oh, let's capture the beautiful views of the Triboro Bridge.
Yep.
This was designed by Ottmar Edmund Amann. Say that 10 times over. He was a Swiss architect, and he designed all of Robert Moses's major bridges in New York City. If you can see, it basically looks like the Whitestone, and it also basically looks like the Throg's Neck, and also basically looks like
The
Verrazano as well, and the George Washington. Now, part of my sarcasm, it is pretty unique architecture, I think. The reason I'm being a little bit sarcastic is because New York went from designing very unique bridges in the late 1800s, early 1900s, from the Brooklyn, Manhattan, Williamsburg, and Queens, to basically building all the same design afterwards.
Yeah.
So let us know in the comments, what do you think of the look of the Triboro? However, I'm going to show you another bridge right beyond the Triboro. which has a very diabolical name, the Hellgate.
There's even a Hellgate underneath it, but we won't get in there yet.
Oh yeah, there's the graffiti with the mural with the Hellgate.
Yeah.
So, the Hellgate looks a lot like another bridge. Which bridge does it look a lot like?
Looks like the Sydney Harbour Bridge.
There we go, the Sydney Harbour Bridge. Now, the Sydney Harbour Bridge is world famous. A lot of people know what the Sydney Harbour Bridge is. It's a major tourist attraction. They were directly inspired by the Hellgate.
Which unfortunately we can't really see too well because of the trees, but
Exactly.
when we get by the water, well, you'll definitely see it.
You'll just edit this to make that reveal better.
I can magically make the trees disappear.
We'll fix it in post. Now, the other controversial thing about the Triboro Bridge is, what's the only thing on it?
The only thing on it, cars.
Cars, yeah. Have you ever been able to bike through it?
You can, but the pathway sucks.
It sucks. And it's kind of a makeshift pathway.
It's so narrow, yeah.
It was not originally intended to have a pathway. That's the controversial thing. No walkway, no pathway, and no mass transit. So currently we're left without a connection via mass transit from Queens to the Bronx. We have to go via Manhattan.
Yeah.
So that kind of lends light of how New York City is.
Let's go this way.
It's very Manhattan dependent. So all roads, literally, and mass transit leads to Manhattan as a center point.
It's annoying to get to the Bronx from Astoria because you gotta take the bus over the bridge and then you gotta take the bus from Manhattan to the Bronx, or the train.
Look at that, cool.
Whoa.
Whoa, whoa.
Look at that, we got perfect timing here.
That's probably one of the tallest I've seen.
That's not the Titanic, by the way.
No, it's not. But usually they're like a lot shorter, the boats.
I know.
They're not as tall.
That's crazy. I've never seen one that big in a long time.
I bet you have followers who are really into boats, so someone in the comments let us know what that boat is.
Oh yeah.
What does it do?
Whoa. It sailed easily through the Hellgate.
Yeah. You want to crisscross through here?
Yeah, let's go right down the lawn to the waterfront. That's no problem for that boat.
No. So you see how the pass is much taller than what most boats would require. And that's why these suspension bridges have to be so long.
It says on that thing, SSI Marvelous.
Ooh, cool.
It is marvelous, it's huge.
Marvelous. So here we have the Hellgate, and the Hellgate's currently for Amtrak.
Only Amtrak, that's it.
It used to be for freight rail as well. I'm not entirely sure if it's still used for freight. Maybe.
Actually, it is.
Yeah,
I've
it
seen
is.
freight on it.
Okay, so over here we have one of the biggest Robert Moses projects is the largest swimming pool, public swimming pool in all of New York City. It's Olympic size.
Oh yeah.
And one of the first teams that competed in Olympic swimming here in the US trained right here.
And they were even talking about making this the Olympic swimming pool in New York City's bid for the Olympics.
Yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Olympics, this nearby along Island City was supposed to be Olympic Village, so this entire area was supposed to be redeveloped. That's interesting.
Yeah, but we lost the bid to Japan, I think.
We did, yeah, we did.
And the Olympics still aren't on right now. We've got to wait till 2021 for the 2020 Olympics.
Poor Japan.
That's never happened before, but because of the pandemic, we're hosting 2020 and 2021.
Exactly. we're just omitting this year. Right over here. What's that island? Name that island.
Ooh, there's two islands.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
See, that's why Action Kid is the Action Kid. The one and only. So that is Randall Island and Ward Island. Ward Island because it has a huge ward, mental health institution.
It was was filled in because they wanted to make it accessible for this grand bridge here.
Yeah. It's also the site of, in my opinion, one of the best outdoor festivals in New York, Governor's Ball.
It's nice.
Nice.
But hard to get to unless you have a car.
Oh, you can walk from Manhattan.
Yeah, you
which is
can.
nice, yeah.
But
I know what you mean, yeah. So the Hellgate Bridge gets its iconic red, of course. That's what most people know it as. You can't really see the pool from the outside, right?
you can, unless if you go around the back.
Oh.
But that's a ways away.
Right? Yeah. Which way we want to go?
Let's walk down there. Yeah, Astoria Park is doing a lot of renovations right now.
They are, yeah.
This playground too.
And it's nice because it is optimal waterfront area.
Yeah.
So, as I mentioned earlier, why people moving to the waterfronts? Well, A, the waterfronts are really used for commerce anyway, nowadays, with the exception of that boat we saw, but that's very few of them pass every single day. And then beyond that, the waterfronts have much more park space. So they're becoming very hot real estate. And
Definitely.
that's why they're being redeveloped.
I'll tell you a fun fact.
Yeah.
This playground here is called Charybdis Playground. And then on the other side,
Okay.
on Randall/Ward Island, there's a place there called Scylla Point.
Silo points
So if you know your Greek mythology, Charybdis and Scylla, I think it's the Odyssey, yeah.
Oh, interesting. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, that's a good fun fact. I like that.
Because this body of water here, the Hellgate, is very treacherous.
And it is one of the largest disasters. I'll wait for the music. One of the largest disasters in New York City history took place in these waters. Back in the early 1900s, a lot of German women and children were going for a day trip to the beaches of northern Long Island. And the General Slocum was a ship taking all of them and was passing through the Hellgate. And generally they would be okay. They had experienced pilots. So a lot of these experienced pilots that would cross the Hellgate were from City Island. They were trained generation after generation. However, something happened in the boat where someone dropped a match and lit up a bunch of clothing that was in the lower deck. And the ship started going up in a blaze.
Oh, here's the best view of the Hellgate here.
Of course, and as it was going up in the blaze and driving through these treacherous waters, more than 1,000 people died that day. Completely devastating the German community that was mostly based around Klein Deutschland in modern day East Village. And a lot of them moved to an area that we know that Astor lived himself, was Yorkville. So a lot of those Germans who lived in the East Village ended up moving across the water to Yorkville, which we see a little bit better here.
Yeah, as long as we pass by this tree, you'll see it better. Yorkville is right there.
Yeah. Yeah, so Astor had good views.
All right. All right, so we're gonna make our way down to Ditmars Boulevard now, where we'll end this video.
Oh yeah.
But Ditmars Boulevard is named after a guy named Dr. Ditmars. Yeah, the doctor's office at the end of Ditmars Boulevard, right by the water here.
Sounds like a great TV show name.
Yeah.
Dr. Ditmars.
Dr. Ditmars.
And
That's
one minor
the name.
correction on the General Slocum. It was 1891.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, 1891. Yeah, it's interesting, this neighborhood, because this is pretty far away from public transportation here, right? This is maybe a 10, 15-minute walk away from.
Yeah, a 10-minute walk from the subway station.
So here we really are kind of in the corner of Queens. Now, we're soon going to approach the area where Steinway had his company town. Steinway is the piano company. So basically, anyone who buys a very top quality piano usually buys a Steinway, at least here in the US and parts of Europe. So he had an entire company town in the sense where he built housing for many of his employees. He also had other types of services like a hospital and recreational services and etc.
Yeah, the original Steinway factories were in Manhattan. I think in the Greenwich Village area.
Yeah, exactly. It must have been very crowded back then.
Oh, yeah.
I assume that's why he might have wanted to move out.
He wanted cheaper labor, so
Exactly.
he moved over to this undeveloped area of Astoria, built the whole neighborhood for himself, and brought all his workers in with him.
Exactly. So here we have the Hellgate mural.
Also, the
This is like an
freedom
anime version of
Oh yeah,
the Statue of Liberty. Freedom. So that's what it looks like. Here's the Hellgate.
Reminds me of that scene from Braveheart.
Oh, how so?
Mel Gibson,
Yeah.
his last
Oh,
words.
freedom.
Freedom.
Freedom from the Hellgate.
Yep, this is the Hellgates.
And here are the wonderful beaches of Astoria.
I heard a rumor too.
Yeah.
There's a sunken vessel here, the HMS Hussar. It
Oh.
has like millions of dollars worth of gold. That's
Interesting.
somewhere in the Hellgate. Or maybe not. Maybe it floated somewhere else. But
Stay tuned for part 2 as me and Action Kid go scuba diving to find out buried treasure.
yep.
That is interesting. I haven't heard about that one specifically. That is a very interesting thing. Some people also rumor that Captain Kidd buried his treasure various points in New York City.
Yeah, but this is one of the most treacherous bodies of water in New York. Even if there is gold down there, it's hard to retrieve.
Yeah, so over 600 ships shipwrecked here. So I wouldn't doubt that there's still many ships in the lower depths of these waters. Now, right here in the Hellgate, the interesting thing is during the 1950s and 60s, the U.S. Army Corps, with a bunch of dynamite, blew up a lot of the rocks that are on the ocean, on the floor of the East River, in order for it to minimize that kind of crazy effects. So now it's less treacherous than it used to be. Here we are, Ditmars.
Yeah, Ditmars Boulevard, where Dr. Ditmars had his doctor's office, and he was a very popular doctor.
Apparently so.
We'll call him Double D. Let's go down here. This is a great view.
What? I've never been down here.
Yeah.
Interesting. Let's go. Let's
This is-
explore.
Yeah. We can't go down there though. The
Urban exploration at
the
its
the
finest.
cops get mad going over here, but over here you can. But
We
this is
got
one
a
of
lot
my
of
favorite
broken
views.
bottles of glass.
Yeah.
I see a few joints.
You gotta be a little bit careful here, but over here is a great view. There's a rock there that says hope, and it's painted.
Oh, it's painted in FDR purple.
I still don't know why they painted that color.
Yeah, indeed.
But anyway, folks, we'll end the video here. Thank you,
great place to-
Urbanist History of Cities, for joining me on this walk of Astoria and providing some valuable knowledge.
Thank you so much, Action Kid, for inviting me over. You can follow more of my videos on Urbanist History of Cities. I cover all the history of different places
Oh, yeah.
around New York City and beyond.
He's also got a Facebook page too, so check that out, as well as YouTube.
Live videos every Wednesdays and Saturdays.
Yep. All right. With that note, everyone, we're going to sign off. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, smash that like button.
Hell yes,
And-
smash that like button for Action Kid.
We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.